Hello and welcome to the News9 Plus show on the world's first news and current affairs OTT platform, News9 Plus. The US believes RNAW agents conspired to kill Gurpatwant Singh Pannun, a Khalistani terrorist who's also a US national based in the United States. Now, Pannu also holds Canadian citizenship. A few years back, the government of India declared Pannu to be a terrorist. The NIA is investigating 6 cases against Pannu and his organization, the Sikhs for Justice. They've seized 3 of Pannu's properties tied to him in Amritsar and Chandigarh. They've seized these properties and they are pursuing a red corner notice with Interpol for his arrest. The other cases Pannu has been involved in are incidents like the pulling down of the tricolour at the Indian High Commission in London and threatening to storm the Narendra Modi Stadium during the India-Australia Test match. Now in 2021, following blasts in a court in Ludhiana, there was a flood of pro-Khalistan posts on X, and these posts originated from India, Pakistan and across the world. Now the alleged assassination plot against Pannu was never carried out. Pannu continues to roam free, inciting acts of violence and terrorism against India. On the 21st of October, Pannu warned of possible terror attacks. Indians were asked not to fly Air India between the 1st and the 19th of November. Now these are not empty threats. They can't be disregarded because we know what happened in 1985 when Khalistani terrorists bombed an Air India aircraft, killing 329 passengers. It was the worst act of terrorism against an airline. Before Al-Qaeda killed nearly 3,000 people using hijacked airliners in the United States. Now, the US envoy to India, Eric Garcetti, has said recently that the US believed in action, not words, meaning that words didn't kill people. But let's look at how the United States has dealt with individuals who have threatened the US and US nationals on their soil, used words to threaten them and not deeds. Now, in 2009, a US university student, Vikram Buddhi, threatened violence against the US President George W. Bush. Buddhi was sentenced in 2009 to 4 years and 9 months in jail. In 2011, a radical preacher and US national, Anwar al-Awlaki, threatened Americans with violence. The US killed him in a drone strike in Yemen. Just last year, Craig Robertson posted violent threats against President Joe Biden and other officials. The FBI raided his house in Utah and shot him dead on the 9th of August, 2023. And more recently, in April 2024, a US activist, Riddhi Patel, threatened city officials with violence. She was immediately arrested and charged with 21 counts of felonies. Now, there's a pattern in all of this. US citizens make threats against US officials. There is instant action. They are arrested, charged, and as you just heard, sometimes even shot. Mind you, they only made threats. They didn't manifest any of these threats into action. But in all of these cases, the US has acted firmly and decisively to neutralize these threats before they were manifested into action. But in the case of Gurpatwant Singh Pannun, there seems to be a shocking double standard at play here. Pannu seems to threaten violence against Indians, Indian diplomats, target Air India aircraft and passengers, but he gets away each and every time over the last couple of years. Is it because his targets are Indians? And if this is the case, aren't these double standards? Joining me to discuss this apparent double standards on the part of our strategic partner, the United States, are Ambassador Ashok Sajanhar, Major General Sanjay Meston, Surinder Singh Lali, a political analyst, and in the studio with me, I have my colleague Justin Thomas. Gentlemen, welcome to the News9 Plus show. Ambassador Sajanhar, I want to start by asking you this. How is it that Gurpatwant Singh Pannun gets away each and every time with inciting threats to violence, calling out for attacks against Indian citizens and even Indian diplomatic personnel in North America and elsewhere?
Yeah, thank you very much, Sandeep, for having me. You're right. He has, figuratively so far, got away with murder. If Eric Garcetti says that we take cognizance only when there is action and not when there are words.
Right.
You know, there has been action as far as our CG, our Consulate General in San Francisco.
Yes.
That was attacked, that was arson was carried out, that was
Right.
vandalized. There is action. So, are we to take that the American law enforcement authorities are so incompetent that they have not been able to do anything? They have not been able to get out any arrest, any accused that has been sort of, brought to book, because all these places, they would be covered by cameras, and movements of individuals would be very well known. Also, in addition to what you have mentioned, he has this Pannu fellow has also said that Indians should stop traveling by Air India.
Yes.
Because Air India is there is going to be they will not be allowed to fly. Air India will not be allowed to fly in November, around 19th November or something. That's the birth anniversary of Mrs. Indira Gandhi. And meaning is what Garcetti, when he says that we are waiting for action rather than words, is he waiting for a similar incident to the Kanishka of 1985, in which 329 people were killed? Meaning, will that force them to take action against Gurpatwant Singh Pannun? He has gone on to, you have given a number of cases
Yes.
in which action was taken by the US authorities against American individuals who had sort of, said something unbecoming or made some threats to against the US presidents, US officials. But here we have this person who's sitting on the American soil, and
Yes.
he is threatening the Indian Prime Minister. He's threatening the Indian High Commissioner in Canada, Indian diplomats around the world. And so no action is taken, which means that the Americans are waiting for when they are able to kill someone at a high level of a high stature
Yes.
in India, and only that will force them to take action. I think this is truly, as you put it, this is double standards and hypocrisy of the highest order.
Double standards and hypocrisy of the highest order, Ambassador Sajjanhar. And I'm going to ask General Sanjay Meston this. General Meston, on the one hand, the US is a strategic partner of India. We've just concluded a massive, massive defense deal with the United States. $4 billion Predator drones. I don't think any other US partner has access to this technology, and indeed hasn't paid this kind of a price. But at the same time, we see this dichotomy of people like Pannun, freely preaching hatred against India, calling for terror attacks. And indeed, as Ambassador Sajjanhar pointed out, there have been attacks on our consulate officials in San Francisco, arson attacks. And one seems to, wonder when was the last time that Indian diplomats were safe in Pakistan, given whatever diplomatic presence we have in Pakistan. There seems to be no threat to their lives in Pakistan, which is a nursery of terror. But in the United States, you have these kind of attacks, arson attacks, diplomats being targeted. What does a strategic analyst like you believe is the way ahead? Is this just an irritant? Will it need a change in government in the United States, a change of a president to see, a dialing down of action like this? Or is this par for the course, that this is going to continue for the next couple of years? The US seems to have a useful idiot in Gurpatwant Singh Pannun to use against India when they want to. General Meston.
Very pertinent question you have asked me. What is the way ahead? Or will it continue status quo?
Yes.
Even I was wondering today when I was told that I have to be attending this discussion with you, and it compelled me to start thinking, and obviously I went on the internet. Now, firstly, let us understand with the United States and between India, what are the strategic agreements? We have a large number of comprehensive strategic agreements. So what I was trying to say, firstly, what are the understandings? Now, as regards counter-terrorism and sharing of intelligence is concerned, we have lots of these partnership on this account.
Right.
And In fact, as regards counter-terrorism is concerned, the last meeting was held on 20th of March this year only,
Yes.
uh, between the State Department and we were represented by Joint Secretary Counter-Terrorism,
Yes.
and this was in Washington. And this was the
Right.
20th meeting.
Right.
Similarly, at the military intelligence level, we have these partnerships. So what I'm
Right.
trying to say is, there is an understanding, there is something on ground, and I think if I look at something, you are aware about the extradition, what we have asked about David
Yes.
Haig.
Yes.
Now, again, I read through lots and everything is in the open domain.
Yes.
And I realized that this person was the one who, in fact, brought into highlight this Tahur Rana,
Yes.
who was Pakistan military doctor in the
Yeah.
military their army.
Oh, we seem to have lost General Meston. But, Justin, listening to this, anti-terrorism seems to be one of the bedrock of cooperation between India and the United States. Also, discounting the fact that David Headley was actually a US deep state asset, was planted inside the Lashkar-e-Taiba, and the US seemed to have a lot of a ringside view of what was going to happen in Mumbai. That's been brought out by the interviews we've done with the then NSA. But, at another level, the relations seem to have moved forward in many directions. But Gurpatwant Singh Pannun, what explains this very bizarre individual who's free to preach violence and target Indian, diplomats, incite violence against Indian aircraft from the safety of the United States?
Sandeep, I think India and US relationship works in different silos.
Right.
So you have, as you mentioned, that deal, the deal that recently, Predator deal that they have
Yes.
signed. So on the other hand, they have an irritant called the Russia angle,
Right.
Russia-Ukraine one, which US expects something, but publicly they won't say it, but privately they agree to that.
Right.
So similarly, Pannu is the case, and when they have to counter China, they have a quad. So
Yes.
when you see these kind of factors, you always see that there's this liberal US activist mode that they always have, where they believe the rule of law and justice.
Yes.
Although it's very,
Yes.
concentrated on countries and obviously where they are not concerned. So they do play that role, but I don't think it has an overbearing factor on the overall relationship, because
Right.
what drives other factors are much more important for US
Yes.
compared to a Pannu case.
Right.
Pannu case may be definitely that liberal, the democratic liberal side, where they're trying to push for that justice. They have all these UCLA kind of,
Right,
institutions
right.
who have time and again pushed these kind of cases. So Pannu is one of those kind of cases where the hypocrisy of US government
Yes.
comes out in force.
Very
because-
starkly in
exactly,
this
because
case.
if let's say if he was threatening Jews, definitely that guy would have been already behind bars
Yes.
for that kind of comments that he's making against
Hence the
Indians.
double standards that we are talking about.
Exactly.
General Meston's back. General Meston, US is a strategic partner. We've got a bedrock of counter-terrorism cooperation. We do the maximum number of military exercises with the United States, more than any other country. As Justin was just saying, there seems to be, this relationship seems to be in silos. Like the US understands, look, we are going to have excellent relationship with Russia, with the Russian Federation, despite what the US believes is Russian role in Ukraine, the war in Ukraine. Is Pannu a like-to-like substitute for the United States, where it comes that, you have to tolerate Pannu on Indian soil, just the way we tolerate your acceptance of Russia as a strategic partner? Is there any comparison between the two?
Yeah, absolutely, Sandeep. I was just continuing with my earlier point, and
Yes.
suddenly we got disconnected. So what I'm trying to say with the strategic agreements we have, especially on counter-terrorism,
Yes.
I think today only I read in the open
Yeah.
that probably this Tahur
Yes.
Rana is going to be extradited by, I think, mid-December.
Yes.
So that's a positive development, and this direction has been given not by the State Department but by the Justice Department.
Right.
So therefore, now what I feel is that, as regards Pannu case is concerned, there is a disconnect between the Justice Department and the
Yes.
State Department.
Right.
That's point one.
Right.
So I think I'm not aware what is the understanding between the government of India
Yes.
and the United States Justice Department, because I
Yes.
think some kind of a strategic agreement needs to be on that account also, because
Yes.
we have, like, even this JWG 20th meeting, it is between the state and the our counter-terrorism joint secretary had presided over.
Right.
So I
Right.
think firstly we need to focus on this.
Yes.
Secondly, as a normal Indian citizen, I am not aware about the Pannu case. What is the stand of government of India? I think it must be stated by some agency or
Yes.
person of the government of India as to what initiatives have been taken to get the extradition of this Pannu
Yes.
character. Because we are not aware. We are just
Right.
discussing.
Right.
But after all, how firm we are on that, that we are not aware the way we have been firm on
Absolutely. We
giving
need a statement from the government of India. And of course, this government has tried several times to get him, get his extradition from the United States. Interpol red corner notices. Those haven't come through. But Surinder Singh Lali is on the show with us. Surinder, this strange dichotomy of the United States we were just talking about. On the one hand, you have a strategic partner who, hosts someone who's been spewing venom against India over the last couple of months. And as Ambassador Sajjan was saying, none of those attacks have been very serious till now. But is the United States actually waiting for a serious terror attack to take place before they can arrest and deport Gurpatwant Singh Pannun? What's your take on this?
Thank you, Sandeep. It's a pleasure and honor for me to be here. And I take it a step further, and not dichotomy, but it's hypocrisy.
Right.
Now, why do I say that? I mean, just to take forward to what the previous distinguished gentlemen have said, that Air India is a Star Alliance airline, which
Yes.
means we have a code share with 25 other airlines.
Yes.
And guess what the other airlines are? Swiss, Air Canada, Singapore Airlines,
Yes.
United from the US, which means that if I can buy a ticket, or any citizen can buy a ticket of Singapore Airlines,
Yes.
and yet under code share, he could be traveling in Air India.
Yes.
So what does that explain? That the he's an asset of the deep state or / CIA.
Yes.
It's a whooping tool that America uses, to negotiate. Because if you look at it, I mean, the United States has not been very happy with our, vertical relationship with Russia. I mean, in
Right.
fact, there are murmurs which a lot of think tanks are talking that one of the reasons why that war has been failing is because we bought enough oil to fund Russia.
Yes.
So end of the day, it's a part of Cold War 2.0, which I
Right.
call.
Right.
And the United States have been very known for using these kind of tools. I mean, if you allow me just a minute, I mean, last one I checked, where was Al-Zawahiri, Qasem Soleimani, and Bin Laden killed? I don't think they were killed in any of the American 50 states.
Right.
But David Headley, as you rightly said, he was not a one or a two, he's a triple agent.
Yes.
I mean, had we been known, maybe 26/11 wouldn't have happened.
Yes.
And it's not just these Johnnies like Pannu. I mean, America uses credit rating agencies, the World Banks, the
Yes.
think tank, George Soros, and now I think, Jeff is the new kid on the block who's been trying to use his financial influence to
Right.
influence other economies. And Eric Garcetti.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think he's known for mincing his words, although he's from Los Angeles, but he's been a cowboy who's been keeping his gun out of the holster.
Right.
On 2 occasions, he said in India, and if I may quote opens, the more we insist on a kind of cynical calculation in the place of a trusted relationship, the less we will get. As I also remind my Indian friends, while it is wider and it's deeper than it's ever been before,
Yes.
it is not deep enough yet that we take it for granted from the Indian sides and quote close.
Right.
So I feel that the mindset is America has been always used to having allies. They simply
Yes.
toe the line, and what has happened. And now the problem with India is that they're kind of uncomfortable because we're not wanting to become an ally. We just want to
Yes.
become a strategic partner. And we don't wish to inherit their Cold War problems and their enemies. Because
Yes.
for us, it's not the East or the West. I mean, we could be, NATO/SC,
Yeah, of
we're
course.
everywhere. So for us, our middle class, our energy requirements, our geopolitical placement, and our relationships with be it Iran, Russia, or you name it, Israel is important. So America is unhappy because we are not sort of towing the line,
Yes.
which they have been quite habitual. of all the allies doing it. That's my limited point for
Yeah, excellent point there, Surinder. I'm going to ask Ambassador Sajjanhar this. Ambassador Sajjanhar, General Meston was mentioning, and Surinder seems to say the same, that it's possible that Gurpatwant Singh Pannun is actually a lever that the United States is using to extract some kind of concessions from us, given the fact they have very few such levers against us. But do you see that as being a factor in the India-US relations, that we trade off, like we'll give you a David Headley or Tahavur Rana in exchange for action against Gurpatwant Singh Pannun? Is that how this would work in this present scenario?
You have asked two very important questions. One is that is Gurpatwant Singh Pannu being used as a lever? I think it was mentioned by one of the speakers that maybe he is an asset of the CIA.
Yes.
And that is why the US law enforcement authorities have been going rather soft on him. As we were told that even across the border, Hardeep Singh Najjar was in cohort with the Canadian intelligence agencies. And that is why he was hobnobbing so very frequently and so very regularly with the Canadian investigation agencies. And here also he seems to be sort of very close and very thick. And that is why the US law enforcement authorities are not willing to take any action against him. So definitely he is being used as an instrument, he is being used as a lever to push back against India. But in the overall scheme of things, again, one of your speakers mentioned, I don't think we will allow this to come in the way of the blossoming of our overall relationship. I would tend to agree. Prime Minister Modi had used this expression that this is a partnership of trust. Now, when the United States engages in such activities, resorts to such activities, then of course it is the level of trust tends to get a shock and a jolt. And when Eric Garcetti says these things, meaning he might be have been the mayor of Los Angeles and he might have conducted himself in the manner that he did there. But when you are an ambassador, there are certain special responsibilities that devolve upon you, and he should sort of acquaint himself that the local serving ambassadors in the in the country of accreditation, they never go out and speak so critically of the host government. If anything critical has to be said, Sandeep, it is always said by the headquarters. It is always by let Washington say something if they have to, but not the man on the spot. But he has violated the basic principle here. The last question that you asked, will it be a quid pro quo, that you do this? And I don't think that's going to happen. We will continue to press upon the US authorities that they need to take action, they need to satisfy us. And we have been very correct that when the United States provided some evidence, we sort of set up a high inquiry committee, and we will take action on our own, because we consider that if such a sort of action by Vikas Yadav, Nikhil Gupta, or whatever it is has been taken, it is detrimental not only to the interests of other countries, but detrimental to the interests of India. So we will take action. So I don't think we are looking for any quid pro quo, at least as of now.
Right. We're not looking for any quid pro quo, at least as of now. And
because Sandeep, there's no upper hand that the US has on India right now on the geopolitical. Because it's already marred in so many issues and conflicts and everything that I don't think that they would like to engage India headlong to make a relationship which is blossoming. So it is an irritant, like Jaishankar recently said, that we are having a healthy relationship. We are moving towards it, but it cannot be automatic. There will be always irritants. So this is one of the irritant that he was mentioning about.
This is an irritant indeed, Justin, but it seems to be a very significant, in-your-face irritant if you see the kind of statements and incitement to violence that Gurpatwant Singh Pannun has been doing over the last couple of days, and he seems to be getting away with it precisely for the reasons that we were just debating, the US double standards which it cracks down on its own citizens for acts of verbal violence against its citizens, but it allows people like Gurpatwant Singh Pannun to have a free run. Surinder, last comments from you before we wind up. Yes.
Thank you, Sandeep. I'm going to be more cryptic with what I'm going to tell you next, that there's an open trial going on against, the government of India, the extra chief, and Ajit
Yes.
Doval. So I'm not going to really stick my neck out and give ourselves a clean sheet, because we did fire Vikas Yadav.
Right.
And to say the least, the jury's still out on this one. So,
Right.
let's wait and watch. And
Yes.
while the other panelists also said that, of course, this is not going to interfere business as usual.
Yes.
But these are like little speed breakers that people tend to use to negotiate on, because there's a lot goes on, and God
Yes.
forbid if Donald Trump comes, there's going to be a lot of negotiation. And
Right.
this is an open trial. This is going to go on if Kamala comes or if Donald
Right.
Trump comes. So I think there is, as they would say in Hindi, picture abhi baki hai.
Picture abhi baki hai. The movie is yet to complete its run, and in fact that's going to be the geopolitical story of the year, certainly, depending on who comes to power. We're going to see how the India-US relations are going to chart in the months ahead, especially given what we've just discussed, the possibility that more such officials could be dragged into this trial. It could be a rocky road ahead for India-US relations, but as Ambassador Sajjana was saying, it's all par for the course. There is going to be no deviation from the major trajectory of the India-US relations. Both countries need each other even more so they do today than in the past. But that's a story we'll be tracking very closely indeed. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us this evening. We speak about the apparent US double standards in the case of Gurpatwant Singh Pannun.